What is good, you guys? My name is Aurelia Medina. I'm 24 years old from Seattle, Washington, and I've been living in LA for 2 years. For those of you who don't know me, I'm in P600 going on P1000, and I have been involved for about a year now. So Mandy, I'm super grateful that you asked me to open up this call for you today because um, this Thursday was actually my first time speaking at an LA event, and I went a little bit more deep with my story. So she asked me to go pretty deep with my story with you guys today. And so when I graduated high school, I always knew school wasn't for me. So as everybody was going off to school, I decided I wanted to be a flight attendant because I wanted a job that was going to allow me to travel the world and to meet new people. So I quickly got hired with Delta Airlines and everything was going great. I was in a serious relationship and I thought I had my whole life planned out. And um something happened in my relationship where we actually got in a pretty serious argument, and he ended up getting into a really bad motorcycle accident that caused him to be in a coma. And it was really hard on our relationship. So I ended up losing that relationship and it was really hard on me. And so I ended up moving to LA and I got caught up in the party scene in LA. I started drinking, doing drugs because I was just trying to, do things to just mask the pain that I was in. So I actually ended up losing my job shortly after I moved to LA. This was about 2 years ago now. And I was super stuck. I ended up, being pretty depressed, and I didn't know I was depressed at the time, but I just remember looking back now, I'm I had all the symptoms of depression, sleeping all the time, and it's just, drinking and just doing things that, I'm not proud of now. But it's all part of my story, you guys. And so I actually ended up visiting Leanne and Cruiser. I actually went to high school with them. A lot of people don't know that. And this is about a year ago. I went and visited them in Miami, and I actually saw the presentation from John Guaman, and he said something about how in times of change, learners will inherit the earth while the learned will become beautifully equipped to a world that no longer exists. And that didn't really make sense to me at the time, but he basically, what's that saying is you can either get with the times or you can get left behind. And I didn't want to get left behind. I ended up, getting started with this, and it changed my life, guys. I made a complete 180. I went from being not knowing where I was going with life to actually having a plan and a vision for myself. And I've been able to help my parents invest. I'm really into crypto. I've been able to travel way more. I don't have to work a job anymore, and it's all thanks to this. And I'm so grateful for Cruiser and Leanne for setting the way for me, for making it making me believe that it was possible. Because if I saw them do it, I learned that I could do it too. And I'm also super grateful for Mandy for just paving the way here in LA, because if it wasn't for her, I would not be half the leader that I am today. So real quick, I'm just gonna leave you guys with some of the three biggest things that I learned within the past year. One of them was just don't quit. Just understand that everybody's journey with this is different. Understand that this is a 3 to 5 year plan. And just trust the timing of your life. Don't compare yourself to other people. My journey's been a little slower than a lot of other people in the business, but that's completely okay, because I know my time is coming. And I know that I'm developing myself every day to, so eventually I can develop others. And the first thing was don't quit. Second thing was don't compare yourself. To trust the timing of your life and to trust your timing with this business. And then the third thing was just do personal development every single day. My biggest thing that was life-changing for me was I actually get everybody that I sign up on this audio. It's called Your Wish is Your Command. So if you guys don't have that already and aren't already actively listening to that on a daily basis, definitely ask your upline for it. I'm sure they have it and they'll send it to you guys. Also, I started studying Joe Dispenza, who is the creator of Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself and also Becoming Supernatural. I highly encourage you guys to start either reading those or listening to him on Spotify if you're not already. Thank you, Mike, for dropping it in the chats. And then, yeah, basically, I just tell myself every single day, I'm so happy and grateful that I'm developing myself every day so that I can develop others. So if you don't have a team right now, that's completely okay. Just make sure that you're developing yourself every day so that you can, become and grow into that leader so that you can develop other people. And that is pretty much it for me, you guys. I'm so thank you guys for like letting me share my story with you guys. I'm actually going to go ahead and pass it back to Mandy. I am so grateful for her. Every single time that she speaks or is on a call, like I am just like always studying her because I want to follow in her footsteps. And I'm really grateful for her. Thank you so much, Mandy.
Thank you, Aurelie, for sharing. I really appreciate it. Guys, can we type some P1Ks in the chat for Aurelie? Can everybody type some P1Ks in the chat for Aurelie? Yo, I love working with her. And like this week, you guys, like this is where leadership starts to become like so like fulfilling, but also like it gets a little frustrating because I got to hear her speak at the LA event, and the whole time as a leader, I'm standing there, and it's kind of like a proud mom, you're like standing there and you're like, wow, like you're amazing. Like I just was literally listening to her speak and I'm like, you're amazing. Like I would have trusted her to do the whole thing. I would have signed up with her if I was in the audience. And so like I'm sitting there like proud of her, but I'm also sitting there like she should have been doing this a long time ago. Like she was ready for this. Like she's ready, like killing it. And I absolutely love working with you, Aurelie. So thank you so much for getting on the call and sharing. I played a personal development audio for you guys right before the call started on Kobe Bryant. It's called Mamba Mentality, and it says like motivational video, but I didn't think it was really motivational as much as like inspirational. And something that he said right when I ended the video, I paused it because I didn't want to play the whole thing. There was like 2 more minutes left. He said, the one thing that helped him get to the top was doing everything he could to be the best version of himself. Not doing everything he could to beat other people's records, not doing everything he could to, outdo Shaq. His thing was he was doing everything he could to be the best version of himself. And so I love that Aurelie talked about Joe Dispenza because I've actually read the majority of Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. And it has absolutely changed my life. Like this book really helped me because I don't know if anybody on this call can relate to this, but I'm somebody that really had to fight through certain habits that were very like just natural, habitual habits in my life to make new habits. And shout out to Leanne. I know she's on this call right now and she's such an amazing mentor. When I first got started, she made us do a book club. Not made us, but encouraged us to do a book club. And she forced us. No, she encouraged us to do a book club. And in the book club, we were really talking about, make sure nobody can mute. Boom. If you guys want to unmute yourself, just type in the chat and then I'll make a decision. But she got us to do a book club and we read Atomic Habits. And Atomic Habits was like a game changer for me. Type of 1 in the chat if you've ever read that book, type of 2 if you've never read it. Okay. Atomic Habits was really a game changer for me. It was funny because before COVID happened, which I know that's not funny, but before COVID happened, I was just really tripping out on people that were like just suddenly starting to wash their hands. I'm like, you guys haven't been doing this the whole time. This should have been something that habitually you were doing every single day. Okay. So a lot of you guys have not read it and a lot of you guys have. Okay. But it was like, okay, that's not a habit of yours. Like, so something that in the book it says is he says habits are like trees. And he says, when you build a habit, when you form a habit, right? It's like, those little plants that they give you in middle school where you like put the dirt and you put the little plant you have to put in the sun. That's like creating a new habit, a new good habit. Whereas breaking a bad habit is like uprooting a large oak tree or just a huge, huge, huge tree with big branches, right? And big roots in the ground. Whereas creating a habit is like cultivating a small tree or a small little plant. So it got me to really think about what in my life, right, goal wise, what in my life habitually do I need to change, and do I allow to remain the same? What are bad habits that you need to be uprooted in your life, right? Aurelie said that before this she was drinking, partying. Those were things I was doing too, right? And what are good habits that need to be planted in your life and nurtured, like reading, like speaking life into your day, right? And that book really helped me to shift, like focusing on certain things that were obviously not conducive to my growth, and really focusing on things that were measurable goals, that were lifestyle systems. And in the book, so the book that I'm talking about right now is called Atomic Habits. If you guys have never read that book, if you never picked up that book, I definitely would suggest it. It helped me so much. It helped me so much with just making sure that I followed through with things that normally I would put off. Okay. So in the book, he also talks about how you should create lifestyle systems. How a lot of us, and I know all of us do this, like I even still do this, and I'm working on it. We create these measurable goals, right? And the thing that's a problem with goals, not saying goals are bad, right? But goals can be problematic because they're binary, which means that you either obtain it or you don't, right? You either ran the marathon or you didn't, right? You either stuck to giving up drinking or you didn't, right? You either are eating great or you're not. You're either 50 pounds heavier or you're 50 pounds lighter. You either made 100,000 in your trading account or you didn't. Those are goals, right? All of us set measurable goals. You either hit chairman or you didn't. We love binary, Mike. Mike, you're funny. But I want you to understand that with goals like this, with binary goals, measurable goals, right? A goal in a way can punish you if you have not achieved a desired life, right? If you haven't become fit, if you haven't become financially stable, you can be more successful and still feel like a failure because you didn't hit that goal. Whereas in Atomic Habits, something that he opened up my mind to, because I used to be that person, like I'd set a goal and if I didn't hit it on that date, I was upset, right? So you have the measurable goal, right? You have running a marathon, you have making $100,000, you have losing 40 pounds, owning a house. But what if your goal was like this? What if your true goal, what if you created a goal? And this is what I was like, wow, like in the book, I was like, wow, like this really opened up my eyes to certain things. He says, instead of making a goal, make a lifestyle system. He says, create a true goal. I want to be a healthy person. I want to become financially stable. I want to be confident in my body. I want to create stability, right? So when you set measurable goals, it's almost like boxing yourself in like a narrow view and not allowing yourself to be flexible. Now, I'm not saying that you can't hit the goal. You want to hit the goal. But sometimes with our minds, goals can be a little bit more harmful, especially if we're naturally negative, because when you don't achieve it, what do? Right? Like if your goal is 30 days and you achieve it, what do you do on day 31? If your goal is to run a marathon and then you achieve it, what's the point of running anymore? Like, really think about that. So I want you guys to understand that there's identity and there's habits. Habits are all about identity. So marathon runners, they show up every day because they view themselves as runners, right? Wealthy people, they invest, they trade because they view themselves as investors. Songwriters, right? I'm a musician. We create music because I view myself as a musician. So it's your identity. So your identity allows you to confront the inevitable challenges that you're going to have when you try to learn anything new. And you know what's crazy? How many people on this call are vegans? Like, I think this is a great example because these vegans, they really be turning up. Is anybody a vegan? Okay. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. Vegans are far more consistent. Oh no, all the vegans coming out is getting crazy. Okay. Vegans are far more consistent in their diet than people that say, I'm going to do keto. I'm going to do a Whole30. I'm going to do paleo, whatever diet you choose. Is it because being vegan is easier? No. It's because they've created an identity for themselves. They're vegan, right? I don't know if you know this, but I'm a vegan. I'm like, okay, but it's a lifestyle. Hey, someone messaged me privately. They said, fight me. Okay, chill. I eat plants too. All right, chill. It actually made me cry because it's funny because everybody around me is like, I'm vegan. I'm like, okay. But guys, like, I want you to really think about that, right? There's a difference between Christopher Terry is vegan. Okay, that's lit. But there's a difference between lifestyle, like having an identity and having a habit. So in the book, in Atomic Habits, he says, he's like, ask yourself if your desired identity lines up with your actions. That's what he says. He says, ask yourself if your desired identity lines up with your actions. For example, if you go to the fridge and you see some cake, you can ask yourself, would a healthy person eat this? It's easier to change the habit if you try to emulate someone else, right? Would a millionaire do this? Would a millionaire have this habit? Eat the corner of the cake. I like the idea of even taking it like a one step further and giving like my ideal person a name, right? Like, would successful Mandy do this? Would she be participating in this? Would Chairman Mandy be in this club right now? Like, would we be doing this right now? Right? Like really thinking about it in the future. Right? Like if I was trying to be Beyonce, I'd be like, yo, would Beyonce be doing this right now? Like would Beyonce, it's funny. Me and my sister used to always say that because we believe like Rihanna has such amazing fashion. So like whenever I would look really crappy, I would look to my sister and I'd be like, would Rihanna wear this? And she'd be like, no. And I'd be like, okay, I gotta change. If Rihanna ain't wearing that, then I ain't wearing it. But the reason that I'm saying that to you guys is your goal is to view yourself as the person who performs the desired action. So I'm the kind of parent who's patient under pressure. I'm the kind of partner who listens before responding. I'm the kind of boss who leads from the front, right? I'm the kind of business partner who cares for the emotional needs over the business result. Change your identity and you can then change, the result that's coming from it. So what kind of person do you guys want to embody? You have to give like the specific person that you see yourself as in the future, whether it's fitness, business, life, faith, it doesn't matter. How can you emulate all these areas of your life? It's something that I really had to, in this book, I had to do a lot of like shadow work. I really had to bring certain things to light that I knew like I needed to get better at. And I had to fix my identity. Like my identity really needed, this was like an identity crisis book. Like I was reading the book and I was like, oh my God, like I need to change a lot of things. If a kind person, I want you to think about this really quick. If a kind person is rude to their spouse, does that make them an unkind person? If a salesperson loses a sale, does that make them a bad salesperson? If a healthy person, if one of these vegans on this call eats some cake, which clearly has milk, does that make them unhealthy or does it make them no longer vegan? You have to think about these things. And really like ask yourself that, like, what is the identity that you're trying to create, that you're trying to have each time? This is something that was lit in the book. This is what changed it for me. In the book, he says each time that you do something, okay, it's helpful for you to think of your habits as an election. Okay. So we have an election. My 2 Chanel purses. Okay. My 2 Chanel fragrances. Okay. Each time I do something good, a good habit or an action, I'm going to cast a vote on the right for the type of person I want to become. Each time I do something undesirable, bad. Yo, the vegans are coming after me. Someone just privately messaged me. Be nice to the vegans or they're going to get you. What the hell? All right, moving on. Okay. All right. So each time you do a good habit, a good action, you're casting a vote for the type of person you want to become. Okay, the bigger vote. Each time you do something desirable, you're casting a vote in the opposite box. Your goal isn't to be perfect in the identity, right? It's to win the majority, right? How do votes work? You got to win the majority. So every day that you do something that is going towards the identity that you want, you're working out, you're saving money, you're reading books, you're eating healthy, you're meditating, you're working on your business, you're growing, you're learning. Those are all in the first box. Okay. But then you slip up, bad habits, eating not healthy, spending your money on bullshit, pretending to read, like not meditating, not doing your affirmations, speaking negatively. Okay. So this is a vote. And so you have to ask yourself, what areas in your life are you trying to be better at? And if your actions were a vote for your identity, what characteristics would prevail? Okay. All right. We're going to talk about this chat real quick because I was reading it, but you guys, I couldn't let you get me off. Someone said, Chatbox has me dying. At least they won't eat you. No facts. All right, vegans. All right. So guys, I'm telling you this because like, this is really what would play the hardest part on my development in my mind, was me not being able to kick like those habits, those things that they were just habitual. Like my mom habitually taught me, you know, and she's not a bad person, she just had bad habits, to always feel like I was owed something. Yo, people in the comments, lock in. To always feel like the world owed me something. Okay. The world doesn't owe you nothing. One of the best ways to solve a problem, because I used to have problems, I'm not even going to lie, like they're not things that I like to share because I'm not proud of it. But like, I used to steal all the time. I used to fight all the time. Like it didn't matter. It didn't matter where we were. If I was trying to fight you and you could get a reaction out of me, like we were going to fight. That's just the way I was. If I was in a store and I wanted something and I couldn't afford it, I was going to steal it. That's just the way I was. If I was in trouble and I knew I could get out of it, I would lie. And that's just the way it was. And so one of the best ways for me to solve those problems was to create a habit. See, my habits that I need to break are very different than a lot of people that's on this call. A lot of people that are on this call, your habits have to do with you just being lazy and not getting to the bag because you're putting off things. Mine were things that could get me potentially locked up for the rest of my life and have people not want to be my friends or my family. My things were like very different, the type of habits I needed to break. I don't have a habit of being lazy. I don't have a habit of not completing things when I finish them. If I start something, I'm going to finish it. That's how I've been my whole life. But for some of you guys, those are your problems. And that's okay. Your problems can't be the same as mine. They're not all going to be the same as mine. But I'm telling you that human happiness, it's almost always a result of a problem not being solved because you haven't created a habit to change it. And so you have to ask yourself, right? Problem solving is all about weighing pros and cons in a situation, creating a plan of actions, takes brain power. So to solve these problems, your brain creates a habit and automatically addresses reoccurring problems in your life. So for me, it was like my reoccurring problems were I was getting arrested. My reoccurring problems were I was losing friends. I was losing people in my life. And I realized, and I wrote this on a paper. I wrote this in a book. I wish I had the book. It's probably right here. I just don't know what page it's on. I wrote down, no excuse can be acceptable. That's what I wrote down. And I read it every single day. No excuse can be acceptable. No excuse can be acceptable. No excuse can be acceptable. I'm tired. No excuse can be acceptable. People left me. No excuse can be acceptable. I'm alone. No excuse can be acceptable. I'm broke. I'm poor. It was harder for me. No excuse. No excuse could be acceptable. And I wrote that down every single day. And I was always, after Atomic Habits, I swear to you, I was always, and even when I was younger, this was kind of true, but I've always been looking for a solution. I've always been looking for a way to find a way, right? So no excuse can be acceptable. Do you guys think that Kobe Bryant, that I played that video for you for a reason. Do you think that his excuses were acceptable when he was tired? No. If you set an alarm on your phone and it says do your DMOs, and then you make an excuse of I'm not in the right place or the right time right now, no excuse could be acceptable. Yo, shout out to Nikki. I don't think she's on this call. I think she's at work. Yeah. But Nikki is someone that like our alarms go off and it says system call. Our alarms go off and it says DMOs. Our alarms go off and it says check in with one of your leaders, and no excuse is acceptable. We're going to do that. Okay. So if you guys have not read that book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, or Atomic Habits, I'm going to go over something in Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself right now. But Atomic Habits, I want you guys to really pick up that book. That book helped me so much. It really did. It gave me so many takeaways. Like, it talked about just like stacking your habits and tracking them and just being aware of immediate pleasures, right? Good habits have positive results, right? Bad habits have negative results. And just because a habit has initially a positive result doesn't mean it's going to be helpful in the long run. So you have to think of immediate gratification versus helpful over time. And guys, habits, like, once someone has a habit, it's predictable, right? It's predictable. So you have to ask yourself right now, like, what habits do you want to be predictable for you? Which habits do you want to be predictable for you so that you can thrive? Your environment really does shape your success. So like, I personally, like, I got rid of my TV. I don't like, I'll hop on my computer if I want to watch something, but I got rid of my TV. I don't have a TV. It doesn't mean you have to get rid of yours, but you know, like, environments are everything, guys. And I had a really freaking hard environment for a lot of my life. And I just would really suggest that you guys, like, change that. Try to fix it the way that you can. But I want to actually talk to you guys about this book. This is the book that I'm finishing right now. And I've actually listened to it as an audio book. But I definitely feel like reading it helped me a lot more. But it's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. And it says this on the back of the book. It says, you're not doomed by your genes and hardwired to be a certain way for the rest of your life. A new science is emerging and that empowers all human beings to create the reality they choose. In Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, renowned author, speaker, researcher, and chiropractor, Dr. Joe Dispenza, combines the fields of quantum physics, neuroscience, brain chemistry, biology, and genetics to show you what is truly possible. Not only will you be given the necessary knowledge to change any aspect of yourself, but you'll be taught step-by-step tools to apply what you learn in order to make measurable changes in any area of your life. So something that a lot of people don't know about me is I went to school, and I actually went into medical school. I went to nursing school for 2 years. And when I was in medical school, I got to study the brain. And I didn't really study many other parts of your body. In fact, right when I got to clinicals and we started doing like actual work in clinicals, I ran. I was like, oh no, this is not for me. But something that he teaches us in the book are things that they actually taught us in school. So it was really like, this was really interesting to me. The key takeaway I took from this was default thinking. How many times have you thought there's something wrong with me? Or how about my life sucks? Or no one ever listens to me? Or when is it going to be my time? Or I'm not clever enough? Or why would anybody ever want me? How many times, type a 7 in the chat if you've ever felt that way. If you've ever thought like, what's wrong with me? Like, there's something wrong with me. Like, what am I lacking? These are habitual thoughts, and you can change them, and you can reinvent yourself and jumpstart your life. And you can rewire your brain so that your default thinking is different. And I bet a lot of people don't fully believe that, but it's so true. You can rewire your brain so your default thinking is differently. The second takeaway that I took was that our mind creates our reality. Dr. Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. It's a great book. Yeah. So the second takeaway that I took was that our mind creates our reality. We always hear this, right? You think positive, you get positive. You think negative, you get negative. You might be thinking like, no, it's not our mind that creates our reality. It's our circumstances. That's what I used to think. But this is just another example of default thinking. So as humans, habitually, we we seem to think that we get more, right? If I get more money, if I get a better partner, if I get a different job, if I get a bigger house, life's going to be better. We'll be happier, right? But in reality, it doesn't work like that. We don't feel how we wanted to feel, or we'll feel how we wanted to feel for a short amount of time. How many of you guys have ever felt like, oh, once I get to P150 and then you get to P150, once I get to P600 and then you get to P600, once you get to P1000 and then you get to P1000, now you want what? P2000. Then you get to P2000, guess what you want? P5000. So when you make your first million, do you think you're going to stop there? No, you're going to want to make a second million. So you start chasing after something bigger and something supposedly better. And that will bring happiness. Right? And so what happens is it's this never-ending cycle unless you change your default way of thinking and realize that your direct attention is where you place your energy. If you think you're unlucky, then guess what? You're going to be unlucky. If you worry that you don't have enough money, then that's the reality you'll create for yourself. Someone asked me the other day, they're like, man, do you live like this? And I was like, this book helped me a lot. I live in a way where I don't worry. I don't worry anymore. Like sometimes things can stress me out, but I have to like change my default thinking and just not worry. It is what it is. If I have a little bit of money, then that's okay. Then that's not worried about it. If I have a lot of money, it's great. I just don't worry. If you think about it, you can probably come up with recent real life examples where you're dreading to do something, right? Think about a class. Think about a call. Think about a conversation that you just didn't want to have. Any of you guys got in-laws? Like think about like a weekend away with your in-laws and you did not want to go. Do they drive you insane? Or just what about your family? Like someone in your family that you know is going to stress you out. Did they drive you insane? Were you looking for reasons to support your belief that it would be dreadful? And then you get there and it sucks? It's because you made it suck. It doesn't mean that it wasn't going to be a certain way, but you have to change your thoughts so that it is what it is. So you're not worried. That is really what I learned. The thing about my mind is like, if I'm like, yo, this is going to suck. This is going to suck. This is going to suck. You guys ever went into a sport and then right before you're about to shoot the ball, you like doubted yourself in your mind for a second and then you missed it. Right before you're about to hit the bat, you told yourself you were going to strike out and you did. Right before you're about to hit the ball, like you're like playing volleyball, right? You're about to serve it. You're like, oh, I'm not going to make it over. And it doesn't. You're running. I'm going to lose and you lose. That's your brain working against you. So for me, like, I just learned to not worry. Once again, that's why I played Kobe Bryant, because his mind shaped his body. Your mind shapes your body. I swear to you. I swear to you. So this is what I learned in medical school. And this is what Joe talks about in the book. He talks about your brain. And this was like very interesting for me when I was learning about it, because I never knew how to change the way I was thinking. But your brain, it's actually separated in 3 different parts, right? You have the frontal, and then you have the middle, and then you have the back. So it's actually in 3 different parts. And so the thinking brain is actually like the big part of your head right here. It's your prefrontal cortex. And this is the part where messages and emotions, which are known as, is it the limbic or the limbic? I think it's limbic. I might have got that word wrong, but that's okay. But this is known as your limbic brain. This is the part of your brain where your body functions and moves with what your subconscious mind, okay, is thinking. So in the book, he talks about how like scientists knows there's like a chemical relationship between your brain and your body, because your mind really does shape your body, right? Mamba mentality, exactly. Mamba mentality. So with your brain producing different chemicals, right? Different signals for your body, these are going to trigger you and make you feel a certain type of way. So one way of like almost default thinking, right? And this is crazy. When you really think about this, this is insane. So default thinking, it's embedded in us from our childhood. Okay. This is your frontal cortex of your brain, your limbic brain. So this part of your brain is actually memorizing emotions that have happened to you in the past, so that later on, when those same things happen, when they repeat itself, your brain already knows what to do, right? Your brain already knows how to get your body to move, right? And so this is things that we don't understand, but like, if you can connect your thought, your feeling, your behavior patterns to react a certain way when something happens or when someone says something to us, whether positive or negative, this is why we lash out at people. This is why we're not rational sometimes, because our brain is dishing out a behavior based on old thoughts, old feelings. And changing how you feel can be a trick. I want you guys to write trick myself in the chat. I need you to trick yourself really quick. Trick myself, right? Trick myself in the chat. Okay. The trick to thinking greater than you feel, which means engaging in this frontal part of your brain so that you can get yourself to have new thoughts rather than allowing, your cerebellum, which is like the back of your brain, to dish up outdated thoughts, outdated feelings, outdated actions. This is why people who are in toxic relationships continue to go back to toxic relationships. It's habitual, because their mind is literally making their body move back into what they've always known. This is why people, this is deep, but just to be honest, like, this is why people who have been abused in their life go back to abuse. This is why people who have been treated poorly go back to being treated poorly. Okay. So notice every time you say the words never, always, no one, everyone. For example, I never have enough money. No one will ever love me. These are all default thought patterns that have become ingrained, literally ingrained into you, and they need to be changed. And what's crazy is when you get to a certain age, scientists and doctors, they even say that it's like 90% stuck. Like, you can't go back to it. You really have to train yourself. It's not impossible. But these default thought patterns that have become ingrained in you need to be changed. So when you notice yourself thinking negatively, saying things that are, I will never be loved, I never will be a chairman, I'll never have enough money. I don't even like saying that right now because it's already me tricking my brain. Think back to one time when you didn't have enough money. Think back to one person who does not love you, or who does love you. Even if the person you came up with is like your mom, right? Everybody's mom loves them, right? It still means not everyone. So like, if I say no one will ever love me, but I think of like my mom, I'm like, okay, my mom loves me. So I can trick my brain. If I think I'll never have enough money, think about a time where you did have enough money. Changing your words really does change your perception of your reality, your happiness, your wealth, your success, and your life, and all the thoughts you think. So when people are talking about something that no longer suits me, no longer fits me, even if they think it fits me, I'll say something to them like, oh yeah, like, I don't do that anymore. I'll say something to them where I'm like, yeah, like, that's not something that I take part in. So I want you guys to understand that you can literally trick your brain. And you have to make sure that in order to have something new, and if you want a new outcome, you're going to have to break the habit of being yourself and reinvent a new self. Like, reinvent a new self. Like, that's really what you have to do. This is what's crazy. And this like gets me like a little bit like frustrated. So like, I meditate a lot. When I wake up, first thing I do is in my bed, like I'll do it with my eyes closed. I'll do it with my eyes open. Sometimes I'll kneel. Sometimes I'll sit on my couch. Sometimes I'll lay on my bed. Doesn't matter. But the first thing that I do is like, I just pray. And when I pray, it used to be really difficult for me to pray. I used to like not know who I was speaking to, what I could say, what I couldn't say. But when I pray, it's strange to me. And some people might not do it this way, but this is the way I do it. I start off speaking to God, but then I end up speaking to my dad. And it always is like that, no matter what. Like, it's like I'm asking God permission to speak to my dad. And I'm just thanking him. I'm not even asking him for anything. I'm just thanking him for watching over me, for giving me life, for giving me hope, for giving me strength, for allowing me to live through him. I thank him like for food. Like, I thank him for just my hands, my feet. Like, some mornings I wake up and the only thing I thank God for is like the smallest things. Like, yo, thank you for allowing me to breathe. Thank you for allowing me to open up my eyes. Thank you for allowing me to move my feet, my hands. Thank you for allowing me to have good people in my life. Like, and then from there, like, what I'll always do is, before I finish my prayer, like, I'll always pray for someone else. Usually it's my papa. But like, I'm always like, can you please, watch over my papa, keep him happy, keep him healthy. And then from there, like, I just say amen. Now from there, what I'll do is I'll meditate. So what I'll do is, like, I'll like see something in my mind that I'll paint into my mind. Like, I'll paint a picture into my mind of something that I'm trying to accomplish, something that I want, someone that I want to help, something. And meditating, what it is like, you move beyond an analytical mind. This is what I've found, because I'm not religious anymore. I was raised to be very religious, but I just, personally, for me, like, I found me and God, we found our way together. Like, and it's my way. If nobody can tell me the way to do it, because I know my way. So my analytical mind, it's beyond it, right? So that I can access my subconscious mind. This is how I meditate. So this is crucial, because your subconscious is where all your bad habits and your behaviors that you want reside. In your subconscious. That's why when people are drunk, they say things, right? That's their subconscious speaking, right? All the bad things, the things that they're suppressing, the things that they don't want to get out, are in their subconscious mind. So, warning, right? When feelings become the means of thinking, when your feelings become the means of thinking, or if you cannot think greater than you feel, you can never change. So I want you to write this down. This is all I want you to take from this call. This is all I want you to take from this call. To change is to think greater than how I feel. Write that down, please. To change is to think greater than how I feel. That's the key. Okay? To change is to think greater than how I feel. To change is to act greater than the familiar feelings of my memorized self. So you've memorized feelings, and to change is to act greater than those familiar feelings that you've memorized. So simply put, to change is to think greater than how I feel. Now, in this book, this is the last thing that I'll tell you guys, like, in this book, and this really bothered me. It said, I never knew this, and it just bothered me. It says that psychologists tell us that by the time we're in our mid-30s, our identity, our personality will be completely formed. This means that, okay, I'm 25. I'm not old, but we getting there, right? So psychologists tell us that by the time we go to 30, our identity and our personality will be completely formed. So when you're over 35, this means you've memorized a select set of behaviors, attitudes, beliefs, emotional reactions, habits, skills, patterns, memories, conditioned responses, whatever the hell you want to call them, perceptions. And now you are subconsciously programmed. Those programs, sheesh, someone just said, good thing I'm starting at 19. No cap. I wish I started at 19. Those programs are running you because your body has become your mind. Remember what I said? Your mind dictates the body, but once you get to a certain point, your body has become your mind. This means that we think the same thoughts, the same feelings, the same objections. We perceive reality the certain way. And this is bothering me because my sister is 36, and there's just certain things that, like, I really have been trying to, like, help her with, and it just, no, like, she's just stuck in her ways. And that's what scientists say. They say that 95% of people, okay, who are mid one in the series of 35 and over, you have subconscious programs that have become automatic, like driving a car, like brushing your teeth, like overreacting when you're stressed. You guys ever have someone in your family that overreacts the same way every single time? Can you guys think of someone like that in your family that overreacts the same way every time, automatically? You're in the car with them and they are literally doing the same thing when they get cut off every single time. It's automatic. You guys ever had a friend that every time you go out with them, there's a problem? Every time they have a boyfriend, they're fighting. Every time they have a girlfriend, they're fighting. You guys all can think of someone like that. Every time they drink, they get crazy. Right? You guys have people in your life, every time you come around them, they're just judging other people, complaining about their lives, blaming their parents. Oh my God, yes, my sister, man, bro. Like my siblings, like constantly are like just blaming my mom for everything in my life. And you guys will hear me when I tell my story. I'm not blaming my mom. I'm not blaming my dad. I'm just saying like this was a part of my story. I don't blame them. If I'm describing you, you need to be aware that you need to be aware that you are insisting on being chronologically unhappy by doing those things. You're insisting on being chronologically unhappy. We have the natural ability, and I'm not saying this out of, this is not idea. Mandy's not giving you opinion. Like, I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. I'm not here to bullshit. Like, I'm here to really tell you guys the truth. I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. Like, I'm here to tell you what you need to hear because I needed to hear this. You have the natural ability to change your brain and your body by thought alone. Like, this shit is not made up. Like, this is factual evidence. So for me, it was like, I just had to sit down and really like write down the things that I didn't want to be and the things that I did want to be, and realize that I had the power to change every single one of those things that I didn't want to be. And realize that you can make thought more real than anything else. You can change who you are from your brain, given the right understanding. That's it. That's it. Think of it this way. The input can remain the same, so the output has to remain the same. If that's true, then how then could you ever create anything new? It's not true. If you want to change your aspect of reality, you have to think, you have to feel, you have to act in new ways. We have to be different in our responses to experiences. Bro, you know how hard it is for me to respond to, like, I naturally act a certain way when something is going down. Like, I just naturally have like an instinct. And when I've caught myself to stop myself instead of acting on something is when I've had the most growth in my life. When my family is yelling and screaming and I'm not participating in it, and I'm like, yo, like, let's just chill instead of going down there and being like, da, 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 right? Like, you have to create a new state of mind. It's the same thing with my friendships, you guys. Like, if I have a friendship with anybody and they're not treating me like a good friend, my natural instinct is to never talk to them again. That's just how I am. How I was. I shouldn't say that's how I am. See? Watch your words. That's how I was. If somebody did something that I didn't like, I was just like, all right, I'm out. Right? And on the contrary, here's what's crazy. On the contrary, in relationships, I used to stick it through. That's what's insane, right? Like, when friendships weren't treating me well, my brain's naturally ability was to like, all right, ditch the friend. I'm not going to talk to this person ever again. But when I was in a relationship with someone, if they weren't treating me well, my natural instinct was, let's make it work. Let's fix it. Now I'm the opposite. Now I'm like, if you're a friend and you're not being a friend the way I need you to, I'm going to talk to you about it. And if you still can't change after that, then I'm dipping out. But if we're in a relationship and I have standards, right? And I have things that, look, if these are non-negotiables, what are your non-negotiables? My non-negotiables was you couldn't speak to me a certain way. You couldn't dictate my life. You couldn't tell me what to do. You needed to communicate with me. But when I was allowing those things not to happen progressively, guys, I was just allowing myself to lose respect for myself and training myself to habitually be okay with a lot of those things. The point is that true happiness has nothing to do with pleasure, because the reliance on feeling good only moves you further from joy. What you need to do is you need to observe a new outcome. You need to, when you're in situations, when you're responding a certain way, get yourself to respond differently. You need to be 100% in control of your mind. There's two things on a daily basis that you guys can control every single day: your attitude and your effort. Your attitude towards the day and the effort that you put into the day. So go and have an amazing day, you guys. I'm like so blessed and so thankful that those of you guys that are on this call got some value from it. And the most important thing, guys, is your future. The least important is your past. So stop dwelling on your past. Stop dwelling on the shit that has already happened. Like, if I got on this call and just talked to you guys about my sob story and my life, like, it would be very depressing. So I would rather just focus on the things that are going right, the things that we can control. It's Locktober. I'm really excited, right, for everybody to just lock in. I will put this recording on YouTube. Thank you, Aurelie, for opening it up. And thank you all for those of you guys that had your cameras on and were locked in with me. I appreciate you guys. Stephanie, Jayla, Nick, Warren, all of you guys. I appreciate you. Have a great day. I'm gonna talk to you guys soon. Okay. Bye, guys.